Hey, I won't lie to you. I thought I would have this video done a couple of days ago and I'm cutting it real close. This is the LUMO light meter from Reveni Labs, a project that is currently up on Kickstarter for I think like 2 more days by the time this video comes out, but will also soon be available for pre-order once the Kickstarter is ended. This sleek looking little light meter, which is in this very, very nice aluminum casing, for any of you out there who have previously had issues with products that are usually done in 3D printed casings, is an incident light meter, a reflective light meter, a flash meter, and a color meter, all bundled into one. You might have seen a few things from Reveni Labs before. They've been around for a few years. Little light meters, different accessories, sometimes 3D printed, but obviously stepping up the game now with this one, which again, is constructed really, really nicely. A few years ago, I made a video on one of the little light meters that Reveni Labs puts out, and I still use that sometimes, especially on like my medium format cameras that don't have a built-in light meter. I was sent a LUMO a few weeks ago and honestly have been playing around with it since I got it. And it is really, really fun and really easy to use. Fun is an odd word to use for a light meter, but like it has so many different little features packed into it, including ones that didn't exist when I got it a couple weeks ago, but have since been built into it with firmware updates. Here's the thing, I used the meter, I shot some Ektachrome with it, and I waited until really the last possible moment to make this video, hoping that the Ektachrome would be processed and I would have scans back from the lab that I dropped it off at, but the timeline didn't quite work out. So forget all this footage, and instead I just really want to quickly kind of talk about the meter because it is on Kickstarter. That campaign is almost done. It is fully funded, which is amazing. It's going to be launching, I think the timeline is around May, for $200 Canadian, which is a really, really good price, I think, considering the features that are built into this thing and kind of the costs that are attached to light meters in general. The little white dome on top allows you to do incident meter readings, as well as use it for flash and color measurement readings. On the top is a little sensor that you can use for doing reflective meter readings. So you can switch it to that mode and then kind of point and aim it at the subject that you're trying to get a meter reading for. It gives you an exposure value information, it gives you lux information, color temperature. You can set it to either shutter or aperture priority and change those really easily with a few different buttons. Going into the menu options allows you to change it between incident, reflective, and flash metering modes, as well as allowing you to do incident and reflective in a cinema mode, which means that instead of doing like a shutter speed, you can dial in a shutter angle and a frame rate of the camera that you're using, which is awesome. It allows you to select from a very, very wide range of ISO options, toggle between aperture priority, shutter priority, or if you're in the cinema mode, then aperture priority, shutter angle priority, or frames per second priority. It also has options for exposure compensation and the ability to change from whole stops, half stops, or third of a stop. A few days ago, Matt, who does all the Reveni Labs stuff, emailed me a firmware update for the meter, which added 2 new functions for it as well. The meter can now give you X and Y color space coordinates when it does a color meter reading, as well as giving you information for green and magenta correction filters. And it now has a mode for determining the flicker of your light source. It will determine the amount of flicker in your light source and the frequency as well. And it gives you like a little light waveform graph view. The flash mode will also do a curve analysis for when you fire your flash. It also has a 3.5mm jack on there, so you can plug a flash directly into it, and a little tripod socket, so you can put it on like a light stand or something in the studio, if you're lucky enough to have access to a studio. I'm really not trying to sit here and just like babble off the features of this little light meter, but I am really amazed by how many features that are in it and the price point that he is going to hit, as well as the fact that with just like a firmware update, he added more functions to this thing. So by the time it is kind of going out to public backers and people who are buying it in a few months, I think this thing is gonna be like such a really, really solid little purchase, and probably like eliminates the need to have, you know, a single color meter if you have a color meter, and a separate like light meter if you are having multiple things of that. So it is really small. It's very satisfying. Again, like the aluminum housing, the clicky little buttons. It does have a USB-C built-in battery, rechargeable battery. I know that is sometimes of a concern where it's not like a replaceable battery where you can just get a new battery if it dies, and over time rechargeable USB-C batteries or any sort of rechargeable battery like that does have like a lifespan, but it is something that I'm sure if you're skilled enough, you could open it up and like tackle examining like a battery replacement, but it's probably also something that, you know, Matt is receptive to talking about if you're having battery charge issues over time. Did I mean to make this video a little bit earlier in the Kickstarter campaign? Yes, but have I just been kind of walking around lately whenever I have this on me and just like turning it on and just holding it up to like light sources? Absolutely. 2900 Kelvin. 2800 Kelvin. 2500 Kelvin. 3000 Kelvin. 2600 Kelvin. 2600 Kelvin also. 1800 Kelvin. 4200 Kelvin. 4000 Kelvin. 4500 Kelvin. 3800 Kelvin. 3000 Kelvin. It's a light meter. It works well. I've compared it against like my in-camera built-in, you know, center weighted through the lens meters on some of my cameras. I have compared it against like my Sekonic light meter. It holds its own in the way that it is absolutely consistently accurate, which is exactly what you want from a light meter. Thank you so much for checking this out. This has been the Reveni Labs LUMO light meter video that is dropping 2 days before the end of the Kickstarter campaign. So go check it out, but it is being funded, which means that it will start to be available within the next little while for people who didn't back it on the Kickstarter. There will be a pre-order option once the Kickstarter has ended if you just head over to the Reveni Labs website. So thank you so much, Matt, for sending me one of these. Really, I genuinely do enjoy it. And I have used it, and this is something that is gonna start traveling with me a lot, especially for using with like Super 8 and 16 stuff that is like daylight, tungsten balanced, working with that tungsten film and having just like a really quick little color meter on hand. Super, super useful. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon. Reveni. Pretty sure it's pronounced Reveni Labs.